This week on the podcast, we're joined by the powerful and beautiful RevSven. We talk about not for broadcast, Bungie being acquired by Sony, and we've got deals of the month. All of that and more in this week's episode of the podcast. Roll the intro. Birder, Rev, you want to join in on the scatting?
I'm about to shit my pants.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
I'm like, do we need to go back to break or? Hello and welcome to
Do the waddle.
Do the waddle. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danie K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite. Green, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. I haven't been feeling like great the last 2 days, but like that's more of a me thing, a mental drain. But I'm here. I'm doing good. I can't complain. Ready to talk some big news.
Yeah. We're also joined by the spooky and the ookly, the Mendacii. Mendacii, how are you today?
Fucking ookly, Danny. I got off work today and my tire was flat. So I had to spend like an extra 30 minutes at work using a tiny compressor to get my tire not flat. And I've been rolling around with a donut on my car for like a month. So I'm just really living that like baller life, you know?
That just sounds wonderful.
Great. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And like I mentioned at the top, we are joined by the powerful and the beautiful RevSven joining us as a guest this time around. How you doing, Padre?
What? Oh, dude, I feel like shit. I got the Rona, and I think it finally hit its peak. So I'm like super exhausted. I am better than I was this morning though, so that is a positive. And then I'm gonna eat so much chicken sandwich after this.
It's at its
Corona
peak
vibe.
performance. Peak
Peak
performance. Its
performance.
power is over 9,000. COVID
It
in your
is.
body right now, just going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, peak Rona, dude. It's in here like you can't contain me, so I'm gonna cough it through the mic at you guys. So get ready.
You can't handle my phenomenal power.
Oh boy.
It's more like it's over 19,000.
Ooh.
I hate this future.
I hate this future.
We live in the dankest timeline.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Can I go to a different planet? Anyways, guys,
No.
thanks for watching and listening to the show. If you miss any part of the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you're joining us on those platforms, you guys can find us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on twitch.tv/DanieK. That's spelled DANIECAE. If you guys want to be a part of the show, you guys can answer the question of the week. This week, our question is, how did you feel about that Halo trailer? Rev, how did you feel about that Halo trailer?
Oh man, it didn't do it for me. I just there was a conversation that was had, and honestly, when Mendacii said I liked it when it was District 9 better, I was like, that's the one. That's the one. I don't know. Like I do like the fact that Master Chief's being played by the Leprechaun from American Gods. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mostly because I like him. What is it? Pablo Schreiber, I think is his name. But Cortana looked like something out of an AT&T commercial.
Bad. Fleshy Cortana is not what anyone wants.
Yeah. Where's my blue? I don't.
It'd be so easy. So easy, man.
Yeah. Mendacii, I have a feeling that you're along similar lines.
Oh yeah. For one thing, the conversation was had was why is the like magnum opus of any sort of media making it into a live action movie? Like why does that have to be the end all be all? And like I found out today that It Takes Two is being turned into a live action movie,
How?
which is like right. Like it's already basically a featurette with fun gameplay in between. Like it's its own thing. What if someone told you like Life is Strange is going to be turned into a movie? Like it already
Yeah.
is. You know, I also found out that Disco Elysium has a movie deal as well, and it's like, why? There's like 5 million words in that video game, and it works just as it is. Not everything needs to be a movie. And after seeing the trailer, I can say without the shadow of doubt that it is not at all what anyone wants. I don't think that anyone wants that, or that fucking like 2011 Chevy Tahoe that's just randomly in the background of the trailer there, like 500 years in the future, and they still got this 2011 Chevy Tahoe out there in the battlefield with all the Covenant.
Yeah.
Why?
Green, how about you?
I'm going to counteract that and say I think it doesn't look too bad.
Wow.
So
Uh,
I think you misunderstand us, Green. We're not saying it looks bad.
Oh,
It
I
looks
am.
unoriginal. It looks
I mean,
very unoriginal.
I mean, it's Halo. I mean, they've done Halo movies already. I mean, they've
No,
done Forward
no,
Unto Dawn.
it looks
was
unoriginal compared to non-Halo franchises like
I
District
guess
9.
fair, yeah, yeah,
Right.
fair. I just think it
Halo.
will. I think it won't be bad. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like I don't know who's all seen the Forward Unto Dawn movie. There was like
It was
a
good.
lot of aspect about the human side, and then Master Chief was at the end. Oh, it was really good. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Can
So if it-
I pose a follow-up question, Green?
Hmm?
Are you, first off, a precursor question, are you already subscribed to Paramount Plus?
No.
Will you
Oops.
just for this Halo franchise?
Well, I'll have to double
Okay.
check. I'll have to double check. I think we might have Paramount Plus. I might have canceled it. I'm not 100% sure.
Damn.
So I don't know.
So yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, guys, let us know what your thoughts are on the Halo trailer in the comments of this YouTube video or in the live chat. You can also let us know on Spotify or tweet at us. Green, if they want to tweet at us, where can they tweet?
You can do next to nothing PC at next to nothing PC. Sorry, I couldn't do NTN because it was already taken.
Assholes.
I know. And
It
I
was
think
probably
NTN
me.
podcast. Yeah, it's probably you somewhere.
Probably. I probably did that somewhere along the line. If actually I think my actual Twitter account when I first started was at NTN Pod, but I changed it to at Danny K. So
I remember that it was in TN Pod.
all right. So Rev, you and I,
Let's talk.
let's talk. It's been a wild ride.
What a wild ride it's been.
What a wild ride it's been. All right, so yeah,
I've been living in a paradise.
yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about Not for Broadcast, the finale, the full
Finally.
release.
God, how long have we been waiting?
Yes. So, Not for Broadcast is a game that our audience may already be familiar with, not only for our coverage on the show, but also because of our gameplay and my Let's Play on the YouTube channel, which, by the way, since the release, those videos have been taking off. I never intended those videos to take off. I have no idea what I'm going to do about that. So if you guys subscribe to the channel for Not for Broadcast stuff, I am sorry. You're probably not going to get more of it on this channel. It'll probably come to a different channel because I just kind of threw it up on this channel as filler because I wasn't thinking about YouTube. Anyways, if you guys are coming from the gameplay footage, welcome to the podcast. We appreciate you guys being here. But Not for Broadcast is an FMV style game where live action players play as journalists and news subjects in a totally not Britain, wink wink, country, and you are responsible for engineering the live news broadcasts. That includes cutting to different cameras, censoring out the naughty words, and keeping the station on the air. You are graded on your performance for each segment, and you know how well you're doing in the game by the ratings, which you can see on the screen. This is a game where your choices both in the studio and out drastically affect the outcome you'll get. which this right now, I will let you guys know when we get into spoiler territory. There will actually be a warning for spoiler territory if you don't want anything spoiled. But me and Rev do plan on getting into some spoilers here. So some examples here for how the game can affect you all, or how you can affect the game. You can actually buy like shares in companies in the game, and the companies also have advertisements that you can select to air. So if you air them over another company, you can get more money. By the way, that practice in real life is incredibly illegal.
If you get caught.
um, yeah, that's called plugola payola. That is very illegal. Other choices that you make, like letting your son join a particular group, and how you take care of your mother, affect the ending of the game. I think most notably, though, the choices you make is when you just I think the most notable choices you make is how you can decide to resist or assist a new populist government that ultimately guides the story. Like I said, spoiler-free territory right now. I'll let you guys know when we're going to get into that. The game runs smoothly as ever. If you want to try it, the specs are a 64-bit processor and operating system, Windows 10, a 2.6 gigahertz and up processor, 8 gigs of RAM, a dedicated video card with at least 1 gig of VRAM, and 50 gigs of hard drive space, because there's lots of video. The majority of the game files are probably video.
Oh, absolutely. To that point, I would like to point out, Not for Broadcast actually set a Guinness World Record for the most full motion video footage in a video game at
really?
42 hours, 57 minutes, and 52 seconds of total FMV footage in that game.
42 hours. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I wonder if the previous one was Kojima. That's a real question, because he used so much like footage from, say, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, and Cold War, all that shit. Like, he's got so much FMV in those Metal Gear games. I wonder if he was unseated for that.
I'm not entirely sure. I will start doing some looking while we discuss the game, though.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So right now the game is on sale for $18.74. It's regularly on sale for $24.99 and worth it at full price, by the way. 100% this game is worth $25. I would actually venture say, with the replayability, this game probably could get away with being $40.
100%. There what was it? Like at the end of the game it tells you there are what, like 12 total epilogues you can unlock?
I think like 12 or 14, yeah.
Or 14. It may have been 14. Like, holy crap, dude.
It's also available on Epic and GOG, with the demo available on their site, so you don't have to jump right in if you don't want to. The game's story is fantastic. The acting job by the crew, especially in this last episode, was wonderful. The cast really does deserve a lot of kudos. Paul, who played Jeremy, Sarah, who played Jenny, Andrea, who played Megan, Claire did an amazing job as Julia, and Roger, who plays Peter, did a fantastic job as well. I mean, just a wonderful performances all around, really.
Paul killed it, dude. He's like my favorite guy.
Yeah.
Jeremy Donaldson.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I did find the previous record. The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker. And it was this was back in 2017, and it was only 7 hours, 11 minutes, and 58 seconds of total FMV footage.
Yeah.
So they smashed that record before this chapter ever came out.
Yeah.
But they couldn't claim the record until the game officially released.
Yeah. So also real quick, all the writing and direction, Alex, Jason, and Andy all did great jobs writing and directing this project. It's a very consistent piece all the way through, and the vision they had was fantastic. Like, they saw this vision, it stayed true to what they, as far as I can tell, it stayed true to what they were set out to do back in 2020 with the first chapter. I think they did a fantastic job.
100% agree.
Rev, before we get into like any of the story aspects, is there anything that you wanted to add in terms of the gameplay or your thoughts on the acting and writing, all that stuff?
One of the things that I thought that I wanted to kind of point out that it actually became really interesting in terms of how it's all set up is like when you first start playing the game, it seems like it's just going to be this like overly goofy, silly, fun game, right? And then as you progress, you start getting these things like these messages from your boss that you have to censor things that are not just swear words. So it's actually like fully described as a political propaganda simulator. And you'll actually so like whenever you're doing the censoring, you'll see red to censor out cuss words, but then other colors will start popping up and you have to censor based on how you want to drive the game in that aspect too, just strictly in the censoring and your camera angles. Like it gets so much more in depth as it goes on.
Yeah.
But I did have one question. Who stock did you get?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it might have been Crazy Neil's.
Let's go. Crazy Neil. Yes, Neil's deals. Okay.
Um, yeah,
That's who I
and
went with.
I will say in terms of the gameplay and like how the game works and stuff like that, it is actually it's really good at explaining to you and rewarding you for learning how to play the game. It actually took me a hot minute. I actually went ahead and did like a started a new game and did a quick warm up before really hopping into chapter 3 because I'm just like I got to remember everything. But like
Same.
the tutorial level is so good that I'm like, okay, I actually have this in the bag again. Like I can hop right back into 3 and I was perfectly fine. It does a really good job of easing you into the narrative. Like you said, like
Mhm,
it feels like a little overly silly. I think when you first reviewed it on the show back in 2020, you kind of compared it to like the Mighty Bosch um
mhm.
or
Very British
Monty.
humor and
Very
stuff.
yeah, and kind of silly like Monty Python. And
Mhm,
it
and then
starts
it just
yeah, and then it starts getting more serious and it while very still very funny, um the satire becomes more pointed, I would say.
yeah, I would actually kind of compare, like, how they like, in a very kind of general way, they kind of did, the satire in a similar way of, like, Don't Look Up,
Mhm.
where, like, it's clearly satirical,
Yeah.
but also very dark. It's like a very dark satire as the game
Mhm.
progresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the other things I wanted to point out that when I first tried to stream the game, it wasn't optimized very well. So like running a streaming software and the game at the same time was very difficult and caused a
Mhm.
lot of issues. I had not a single dropped frame on the same computer, same internet during this. So the optimization as it got further on really was something that should be commended.
Yeah. I if I'm trying to remember right, I don't think I had any problems with it running. I probably had drop frames just because of my new situation, but um because I've noticed I drop a few more frames than I usually do or usually did now that I have a different living situation and arrangement. But yeah, no, I otherwise the I have so I don't have any complaints about like the gameplay or anything related to that. Um, I can't think of anything else that I want to really mention for it either.
Before we get into the
Yeah,
next territory.
yeah, that's kind of the thing is like I just kind of want to get into the spoiler, like talk about the story, well, like our endings and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's what really drives this game. And what's crazy is me and you can sit here and talk about our endings, and anybody that listens could go and have upwards of a dozen different endings for
Yeah,
what we get. Like,
yeah.
that's insane.
So are we ready to talk about the
Let's
get
do
into the
this.
story? Okay.
Spoiler time.
So, okay, we got a spoiler warning up on the screen. If you guys are watching live, go on ahead. If you don't want to be spoiled for anything not for broadcast, go on ahead and just mute us and then come back when you don't see that. Um, if you guys are watching or listening on YouTube, go on ahead and do the same. Spotify, all that stuff. Um, yeah. So I think we're good. I think all the people who would be worried about spoilers have left now. Okay, at past this point, if you're worried about spoilers, I'm sorry. You did it to yourself at this point.
I'm
You
not.
made your
You've been
decisions.
warned.
So in
Brave.
my playthrough, I lovingly called it the bootlicker playthrough. I decided I was going to be pro advance, which is the populist government. I was going to play whatever advance wanted me to play. I was going to make all the choices in my life pro advance, and I did my best to censor things that advance wanted me to censor. At the end of episode 2, the ending that I got was that Jeremy had his meltdown, and before showing his potential death at the end, he was actually arrested and confirmed alive. In the new episode, I censored everything that I could for advance, and at a critical moment during a bombing, I showed Julia Salisbury in the best light possible. In the end, after 7 years of sitting in the engineer's chair, the game ends on one climactic ambush interview by Jeremy and Megan during a morning show, where in my playthrough, Julia Salisbury successfully stalls Jeremy into getting arrested by her Gestapo, and he is sent to a re-education camp to be turned into a, quote, team player.
Mm.
The Betterment
The-
Center.
Yes. I'm
Ugh.
just removing the veiled innuendo that the game places on. Like the
Boy,
CCOs are just Gestapo. Like,
yeah.
I don't.
It's so insane how different our entire gameplay was, like our entire stories were. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Did anything happen to any of your family?
My daughter got pregnant but miscarried because of the nuclear fallout. There is a great sterilization, right? So
Okay.
in episode 2, at the end, Advance actually did preemptive nuclear strikes against countries that were blockading ours. And the results of the fallout caused mass sterilization throughout the country. And my daughter was a victim of that.
Dude, that's so wild because, like, okay, can I tell you about mine?
Yes.
Okay, so I went the entire different direction. I went 100% anti-advance. I was full disrupt. So, I ended up Jeremy Donaldson killed himself on my playthrough. He shot himself in the head because he found out Alan James, the goofy nut job from episode 1, was behind Disrupt the whole time. And then after that, into episode 3, I let my daughter go on the trip. So she died in the nuclear bombings. So my daughter was dead.
Damn.
Yeah. So my daughter died in that. They never once addressed the nuclear thing as being why there was a mass sterilization. If they did, I missed it. But I was like tasked with playing propaganda that made people not want to have kids. Like it was like a whole thing of like, you don't want to have kids as a way to essentially reserve resources.
Yeah.
Because we're, with all the blockades and everything. So after that, I told did you let your son go to the advanced group?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't. He got in trouble with the law and ended up dying in an attack. So my son died. And then my wife, in a fit of rage, because she was just like, my kids are dead, life sucks, we lost the house, everything. She ended up going out drinking and driving, crashed the car, died. And then
Wow.
the big finale for me, we did the same morning show thing, but Alan James and a bunch of Disrupt members took over the station, shot Julia Salisbury in the head, shot Jenny. He shot Jenny, killed her. Turned out he had a bomb on his chest, and at the end blew the whole thing up, killing everyone.
Really?
Literally everyone died.
So here's something interesting. Right? So I mentioned there was a bombing. What happened was that Peter Clement passed away between broadcasts, and during the broadcasted memorial service for him, there was a Disrupt attack. Disrupt bombed the memorial. And during that moment, or during that broadcast, they start fighting their way to the station. So like all throughout the broadcast, you're hearing like gunshots and explosions outside the window.
Mhm.
And at one point, because Alan James had snuck a radio into the studio, and he's like, Alex, I need you to play this thing. I need you to do this thing for me. And he's like, Alex, I'm on the roof. I'm on the roof. I need you to play this one last time. And the and Advance actually like obliterated them with fighter jets.
Okay, see, like we had something similar happen to that in the in the buildings outside of the station, like
Yeah.
where all the fighting was going on. And they did get messed up pretty bad, but they recovered and came back.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a difference in like the whole thing, because I was sitting there in chapter 3 thinking like, damn, what's gonna happen? And next thing I know, I saw the orange lines pop up in the scroll wheel for the interference, and I was like, oh my god. you know
Yeah.
Which they changed. They changed that from the original. I don't know if you remember this, but the first time I ever played the game, and I think you did too, the interference thing was not the lines that you had to control going up and down. It was a ball that you had to dodge the interference, like scrolling up and down. You actually
Yeah.
had to dodge like interference, like almost like it was a maze runner type game. And then also at one point there was a deal that allowed you to like use your money that you got from broadcasts to buy extra stuff for the studio, and that went away. So like
Yeah.
that was just like randomly two things that stuck out to me that changed that I didn't know. They probably did the thing with the interference strictly so that way it'd be easier to pick and choose which side you wanted to go on the interference table. But yeah, it was yeah, it's wildly different. I can't believe how much. But then again, 42 some odd hours,
Mm-hmm.
of gameplay of FMV footage. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, each playthrough is like what, about 9 hours, you think?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there, because I didn't realize that you had to do it. But you do have to do the lockdown chapter.
Mhm.
You don't have to do the telethon chapter. That was okay. So I want to go ahead and commend the team on this. They were trying to make this game in the middle of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and during lockdowns over in Europe, they actually put out 2 free chapters, just that were remote chapters, or at least one of them was definitely remote, which I thought was really cool. They didn't have to do that. They
Right.
didn't have to do anything like that, but they went out of their way to make 2 chapters just to keep people having something to play while they got through that so they could finish the game. And I wanna like, that is something that's just insanely commendable, and that's why I think that was a reason why the price went up on the game from its original. So, like, if you got it when it first went to early access, it was only like $20, then it went up to, like, what it is now. What is it, 25 now?
25, yeah.
But a lot of that had to do with the fact that they did make 2 extra chapters, and so that way they could pay their talent. But, like, again, they didn't have to do that, but, it allowed us to have continuing things, and then they ended up turning it the lockdown chapter into part of the final game, which I
Yeah.
thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, what was nice was that with the lockdown chapter is kind of like a thermometer for the direction you're going too, because
Mhm.
there's a hallucination bit for it that
Yeah.
it kind of like that you can kind of tell like the direction you're going in terms of like endings with that. But yeah, I can't imagine like just how there's 14 endings now. So in your epilogue, I'm curious.
Uh-huh.
I did have a little epilogue thing, which was Julia is like hosting the morning show, and they're all having fun on the couch with their coffee, and she's like, guys, we have a special guest. Welcome back, Jeremy Donaldson. He's back from the better, and he comes out, and he's like confirmed alive, and they're smiling, and he goes, and he like looks into the camera with like a super pained look, and he's just like, it's great to be a part of a team, or whatever, whatever the advanced slogan is. And it ends on like a solid shot of Jeremy looking into the camera just with a pained smile.
Oh.
What was your epilogue? Like,
Bro,
little...
mine was Jeff Algebra getting like relegated to a shitty kids show. Like getting hit with like an inflatable hammer and stuff, looking like he hated his life. Which
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, Jeff Algebra or Jeff DePlume, as he becomes known later, he was kind of an annoying sack anyway, so it was kind of cool. Well,
Um,
I do gotta say, like what he did deliver like one of the best lines in the thing because it just caught me so off guard that he was talking about his wife. Now he was talking about how his name is Jeff Algebra, he teaches math, and he's like, well, what about your wife? And he's like, oh yeah, my wife Angela Algebra. And then he talks about some of the things that he likes to do, and then he's like, and she's just a paraplegic mainly. And I'm like, wait, what did he just say? It's just like it's just so
Primarily.
nonchalantly delivered.
was that Mendacii?
Just like primarily she's paraplegic, but like, in her off time, she also has arms and legs.
Yeah, it was so off the cuff. Like, and they did that a lot with different lines where it
Mhm.
would just be kind of like something off the cuff like that. Especially with Patrick Bannon.
Yeah.
He got quite a bit of that. Also, speaking of that, did you end up with the same Patrick Bannon the whole time, or did your Patrick Bannon get switched at some
My
point?
Patrick Bannon got switched.
Okay. I was like, what the
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. Mendacii, any thoughts, questions, opinions on not for broadcast?
It looked really awesome. Like I got to watch you while I was building my sick ass decks and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just looked like a game that's not being made by anybody else. It looked really refreshing. And the amount of hype that I know that you and Rev had for this game, um, it really does drive me to want to play it. And it just looks like a completely unique experience with a ton of different ways that things can go. So the amount of time and effort that they put into this project, it just looks phenomenal, and it sounds even more phenomenal. I really want to get my hands on it, but I'm gonna have to free up some time.
Yeah, because it's a rabbit hole. Because like
Yeah.
another thing that we forgot to mention that's actually a really interesting feature of this game is that as the game progresses, every what they call rush, which are just like the different camera angles that you have of the stuff that maybe you didn't air but was going on, like say when an ad was running or something. You can go back and watch all of those. You can go back and watch your complete broadcast, see how you did, which can be hilarious depending on how good you are at censoring. And then also like even the ads themselves. Like if you play ads, you can go back and watch those ads. So it's like you can kind of go in and take a look at like what you've played already to determine how you want to go about your next run through so that way you can unlock different stuff too. So that's really cool. There's like a little library of things that you've done.
Yeah. Yeah, that is super nice. So you can like get all the like I especially like in the first episode with some of those, like the crime segment. Why with the sheriff and stuff.
The one that with the gimp.
Yep.
Oh my god, dude, that was so funny. I was in tears the first time I played through and saw the guy with the gimp. Like I went back to it on camera just for funsies.
Yeah. Green, any thoughts, opinions, questions?
No questions. I have not for broadcast. I played through most of the first chapter. I haven't gone back to finish it yet, but I think it's definitely going to be something I will do soon.
Yeah. I would
Is,
love to I would love to know what kind of ending you get. Like
Oh, I'm not sure.
I'm
Not
going to be a
sure.
big old radical lefty when I do it, just like I did when I was playing through Disco Elysium.
well, that's the thing though, is advanced. The politics of this game are it's very obviously anti-authoritarian,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely seems to take more cracks at labor and and like progressive politics than it does at other forms of politics. Or other
Very British.
yeah, so the advanced party is very like populist. Like the first thing they do, this isn't a spoiler by any means because this is literally the first like 20 minutes of the game, is they say they're going to start taxing the rich at super high rates, and they can't the rich can't leave because they revoked all their passports.
Mhm.
Um
And
stuff like that.
it's it's funny. It's kind of okay. So, like, to get a little into the political side of it here without going into spoiler heavy territory, it's it's kind of interesting because they switch the politics of what you would assume. So it's like the hardcore leftists are more the authoritarian government side of things, and the what you would consider the radical right are the ones actually going out doing a lot of protesting and the rioting and things like that. So it was weird but interesting to see how they kind of flipped your expectations on what you would like assume based on what you see in current world events. Uh but I'll leave it at that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Anything else on Not for Broadcast?
Play
Can't
the
wait to
game.
get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting my hands on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to do a chaos run where I just like I pick I like flip a coin at every turn. Like every each individual broadcast, I flip a coin on like which side I'm gonna go for.
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting. I think it'll be fun.
That would be very interesting. But yeah, guys, I'm very impressed with the game. I think it's great. I think it's I don't know if I'm going to continue to make content with it. I know a lot of people really like the playthroughs I did. But I don't know. This is just a game. I want to find all the endings, and I feel like this might just be one of those things that I play to I play to relax. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Guys, we want to take a quick break.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sure.
All right, guys, we'll be back. We have some news to talk about. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay right there.
Hello, Danny is being lazy and has decided to have a text-to-speech robot record this message for you instead of doing it himself. He wants you to know that you can help support the show by telling your friends. Telling your friends about the show helps us grow and help more people save money while gaming. It's also free. You can tweet about us, share us on Facebook, or even send a message directly to your friends and family with a link to the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or leave a comment. That helps tell the algorithm that you like this kind of content and would recommend it. Thanks for watching and listening. The show will resume in just a few moments. PS Green Elite has bad taste in Pokemon.
And we're back, guys. Thank you for letting us take that break. And I mean, let's just not make them wait anymore. Green, tell us what's going on with Bungie.
Yeah. So news broke this week that Sony Entertainment, Sony Interactive Entertainment, is now purchasing Bungie, the developer of Destiny 2, the OG dev of Halo, which we just talked about with the trailer. They're not seeing anything from that, I don't think. And they are purchasing them for a smooth $3.6 billion with a B dollars. Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony Interactive, stated, "I want to be very clear to the community that Bungie will remain an independent and multi-platform studio and publisher." Ryan also said that Bungie will sit alongside the PlayStation Studios organization, where the two groups will work together and collaborate, which is pretty big considering Microsoft just purchased Activision Blizzard, and they also are stating that more than likely nothing will be, console or PC exclusive. So hopefully that remains that way. Mendacii, Rev, Danny, what do you think about this?
Woof.
I know Mendacii has some experience in the Destiny area, so
Yeah. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to go first.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
first.
So I think that first and foremost, it's really weird that Bungie would totally be down to even go into talks to joining another big publisher like Sony, since they kind of went to great lengths to remove themselves from a big publisher. They went out on a podium and said, hey, this is why we want to go independent. We don't want someone above us giving us deadlines, making us work, way more than what we need to. And like essentially saying, like, when you're under a big publisher, that's where crunch comes from, because the pressure from on high goes all the way down low. And everyone's like, wow, yeah, that's really awesome. So like, what are you guys gonna be like when you go like to yourself? Well, right now, like, the lead time for Bungie to deal with most things in Destiny 2 is 6 months. So like, if you notice something, then you're like, wow, this is busted, man. Like, hate, this specific aspect. I'd really like to see it fixed. The soonest that we're going to see something like, let's say I was playing that right now, we have to wait until July to see some sort of fix come through. Well, I guess like the end of July into August. But more or less, Bungie has wanted to make Destiny 2 more or less an MMO experience, which it sort of kind of is. But I feel like going under Sony, where they're like, yeah, no, like we plan on not having hands on. We just want to make sure you guys have the funding to keep doing what you're doing. I want to know how long that's going to keep going until they're like, all right, so Destiny 3, where we at? And Bungie has said already that they are working on another IP. So it also makes me wonder, did Sony purchase Bungie so that they can kind of put their fingers in the pie of this new game that they're working on? I'm not sure. Um, Bungie obviously had a Q&A, which you can go to if you just Google Bungie Q&A 2022, came out a day ago. A lot of it is, hey, am I still going to be able to play this on Xbox? And they're like, yeah. Or am I still going to be able to, access all my shit on an Xbox? Yeah, like it's a lot of that, but there is a lot of fine points in there. Um, they have specifically said like, yeah, we're not going to go down to just PlayStation. This is a acquisition that is supposed to be symbiotic, which in its prime, I think that it would be. Best case scenario, Sony's just going to be like, hey, what do you guys need? Or Bungie can be like, hey, yo, we need this. And then the check is written out, it's handed to them, and so on and so forth. Bungie does not do well with deadlines, and they do not do well with like lead times. So I could see this becoming a growing concern for the management team that would be directly over Bungie, that is essentially more or less a middleman between Sony as a publisher and Bungie as that subsidiary. So again, this is another one of those things where it's like time will tell. We don't know exactly what it's going to do for Bungie, people who play Bungie's games or anything like that, because this is definitely a long-term thing. So we're going to have to wait and see, sadly. But it's one of those things where you cannot ignore it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing though, when you bring up that IP that Bungie is working on,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was with they partnered with NetEase, the Chinese company,
Yeah.
not Tencent, for that. So I don't know where that's standing. We haven't heard much from that since like 2018,
Right. But
2019,
yeah,
something like that. So
they're likely they probably still have people working on it. NetEase Games, by the way, a lot of gotcha games, a lot of just like you see this shit popping up on like your Facebook or whatever. It's like, wouldn't you like to play this game? And it's a screenshot from a game that doesn't exist, or it's ripped from a game that does exist and is not what they're actually trying to sell you. And I believe NetEase is the company that also is now overseeing what Ryuga Gotoku, Like a Dragon Studios, the people who made the Yakuza games. A lot of their old heads and project managers actually went to go and make a new studio. Can't remember what it's called, but I believe that's under NetEase as well. Um, so yeah, it's kind of interesting. I do wonder what that means for that IP, but from what I understand, it's still going.
yeah.
Gotcha. Rev, you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense that and I was saying this back when Microsoft bought out ZeniMax, that making things console exclusives will actually just kind of end up hurting you in the end, because a lot of people out there cannot go out and buy two consoles, and there's just way more money to be made in letting them be cross-platform, across um multiple consoles, and making all the money on those sales. I am really interested to see how this ends up playing out, like when Mendacii said with the whole deadlines thing, um, because it's very true. Destiny has been just very, listen, we're getting it done. We're working on it. We're trying to make it, the best it can be, as opposed to, no, let's get it out there and patch it later. CD Projekt Red.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that the only thing that worries me really is watching all of these major companies, between, I say major, Microsoft and Sony, buying out studios. Is, are we going to end up in just a Google Apple situation?
Yeah.
And then and as an indie gamer, I know Sony has had issues with indie games in the past when it comes to like publishing on their store and whatnot. They've had some difficulties in the past with that. And if all these major companies keep buying these out, leaving all the smaller publishers kind of just so far in the dust, at what point does it end up becoming almost like antitrust level? And I don't know if we'll ever reach that level. It's so early in all of this to ever see, but it's obvious. I mean, it's clearly like a possibility,
Well, it's
albeit maybe a slim possibility.
yeah. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because it actually kind of broke today that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is actually looking at the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and will be reviewing it. So it's actually going to have to get approval from the FTC rather than the DOJ.
Mm,
I'll
interesting.
let me skim this article real quick to see if there's any other nuggets from there, but that particular deal, I don't think this deal is going to get even looked at twice
No.
by
Nah,
regulators.
nah, yeah, and what I'm looking at is like further down the road,
Yeah.
if these acquisitions keep happening. Um, all I know is in regards to acquisitions, it got brought up that Microsoft might revive Guitar Hero, and that's all I cared about. So
Right. That's an expensive game to do, man.
Yeah.
I love that
The
game.
the idea that it could come back is pretty fucking awesome. But I believe that God, who was it? I can't remember who it was exactly that headed that whole thing, but he said, I think it comes down to the fact that people don't want to play on plastic instruments. And I was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
I
no,
want to play on
What
a
about
plastic instrument.
the far superior Rocksmith and Rock
Right.
Band? Okay,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, wait, didn't Rocksmith actually announce a new game like last year's
I'm
E3?
not
Think so,
100%
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so Rocksmith's still a thing. Guitar Hero had the boss ass battles though. Until they switched. They switched to that where it was like 3 up top, 3 up, 3 on bottom. That was just like, yeah. But I digress. That guitar sucked.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
great.
I was a bigger fan of the Rock Band series.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's because it had all the other instruments too, and I feel like they had a bigger music selection that you could buy and stuff like that to pay for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the old microtransactions. Nah,
Mm.
I just liked the actual soundtracks that the Guitar Hero games had more, because they had a little bit more of like the heavier stuff, while like Rock Band kind of focused a little bit more on like the 90s and
I
stuff like that.
I used to like do vocals for Wait and Bleed on Rock Band.
Did you have to buy
So
Wait and Bleed?
we had to buy the Slipknot collection. Yeah.
Of course.
I was 19. I had no care in the world. Okay.
Right.
Would you care to give us a sample?
No.
You wouldn't care? All right, then give us one.
Come on.
I do mind. I mind. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Oh.
Hard
I was gonna
pass.
say
Thanks, bud.
we have up to 15 seconds before, we get in trouble.
You know,
So-
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if we'd have to worry about it. I love you, Green. I'm sorry.
I think that would be considered transformative.
Oh.
It
Yes,
isn't-
transformative.
It doesn't hurt the market value of the existing piece. Because nobody would want to listen to that over the actual song.
It's like, or it might, because people would be like, man, I didn't realize how bad this could be.
Right. Catch it on my daily Spotify playlist.
Anything
Danny, what are your
else?
thoughts?
I don't really have anything like strong feelings about it. As someone who like isn't like a Destiny player, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any real issues with this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is just going to be a pretty okay deal. It doesn't move the needle really, I think, in terms of the industry. Like a huge, like it's not like Microsoft suddenly shooting up to number 3,
Yeah.
right? Sony was still sitting at number 2. They're going to be continuing to sit at number 2. I don't think this acquisition is going to be nearly as big. The only thing I want to say is I did see earlier Jeff Keighley post a tweet saying that there are going to be more acquisitions this year. It's going essentially he's just like I keep hearing people in the industry saying deals are about to be announced. So we'll probably see more. So this is not a story this is not the last time we're going to talk about
Acquisitions. Yeah.
acquisitions this year. I think
Oh, can we do a prediction on who gets acquired by who next? Because I already
Ooh,
have
yeah.
mine.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel stupid if this has already happened and I just missed it, but I think Microsoft is gonna full on buy EA.
Fuck me.
Really?
I think at that point, then it would definitely like they would have to consider like go through like a
super giant?
antitrust thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be that way because one of the trends I'm noticing with these is like if they already like try to include a lot of these IPs in say Xbox Game Pass or some other form of subscription, they've been kind of going after those, and Xbox heavily promotes their EA Play um subscription service. So I think we're gonna see Microsoft try to purchase at least try to purchase EA, or at least maybe even just one of EA's subsidiaries
Like
from
BioWare?
EA. Yeah, like BioWare, or maybe even like Respawn or something. You know,
Mhm.
like
Crytek.
Yeah.
yeah,
Could see that too.
I could see a lot of that happening too in the future instead of just buying out like whole ass companies, buying out some of their subsidiaries.
Yeah. It's the acquisition wars, baby.
My biggest thing with Sony buying Bungie is I think it could help with content sparsity when it comes to like the seasonal content
Mhm.
because the last few content drops have really felt like a cash infusion for Bungie to keep going on with content,
Yeah, I wonder.
especially.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
I
go
didn't mean
ahead.
to interrupt. I was just gonna say, I wonder if they, if part of the funding coming in is to get more people to help them meet deadlines better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did this 30th anniversary celebration that you had to pay for
Mm.
to get Galahorn and the new dungeon stuff like that.
Yeah, it was like
Which
$30.
I paid for it. I haven't played it. I played like 4 hours of it. That's it. Um, and then you also had to pay like you could do like a bundle with the Witch Queen DLC. And they made the announcement, and then they made the new season, the last season, like 6 months long. With that 30th anniversary celebration like dabbed in there. But we're gonna see that Witch Queen DLC in February. So I may make a return to Destiny. I don't know. I've been hurt, and I love the game. It's just like I play it and it's great, but then I get really bored really quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, guys, let us know what you think about Bungie being acquired by Sony in the comments down below in YouTube, or you guys can tweet at us at NTNP. I'm sorry, at Next to Nothing PC. Green, or I'm sorry, Mendacii.
Mhm.
Tell us about Ubisoft.
Okay, Danny. I would like to just kind of like try to like dip our toes in this by kind of helping our audience understand what the Ubisoft news is. So, if you could explain NFTs in a gaming space to me real quick.
Yeah, so an NFT stands for like non-fungible token, and like in the gaming space, it really like acts as a like a token, a skin, something similar like that.
Did you know that you can make money on it?
Yeah, you can sell them, right?
Yeah, Yeah. Like when you get a skin, it belongs to you. And then like when you're done playing that game, did you know that you could sell them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
allegedly.
And like yeah, well, I mean, yeah. And like, that if you have a super hot neon pink balaclava, it would have its own unique blockchain code attached to it. And then when someone else decides that they would also like to have a second hot pink balaclava, they could buy yours. And because it has this unique ID code, it would mean that you get to hand them the receipt for the hot neon pink balaclava, and you could take their money. Did you know that?
Yes? Question mark?
Right? Yeah, no. So it's actually a lot more convoluted than that. Uh, the biggest thing is that Nicholas Poad of Ubisoft has told gamers and video game consumers that basically they don't understand why they don't want NFTs in video games. And that every reason that they have for not wanting to be a part of this kind of marketing in video games is they're dumb. So basically you're dumb. Okay? Like if you don't understand this, that's on you. What he has said in the past, in regards to all of the backlash of people saying like, "Hey man, I need to be able to opt out of this. I don't want to be put in to essentially a market that I did not sign up for." And he has said that the context of NFTs in games, gamers really believe that it's a tool for speculation among other things. It's been reported on through Polygon, through Game Rant, and probably just about everywhere else. And more or less, the crux of this is he is saying you don't get it, and it's okay because you'll get it later when we roll it out after the 10th time that we tell you you're dumb and you don't understand and force you into it. It's something that they've already been working with Ubisoft Quartz. They initially rolled Ubisoft Quartz out with Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which has more or less gone belly up. The issue here is that everyone can attain skins. So you could have a hot pink balaclava, Green, Rev, and I could all have a hot pink balaclava. Okay, the issue here is that you more or less, if you've ever played in an MMO space where, say, like you're mining copper ore, you go to the auction house to see what copper ore is going for, and it has a price margin of, say, 5 gold if we're going off of World of Warcraft, right? And so some days you'll get way more for your copper. Uh, but your hot pink balaclava, well, it's a price that you essentially affix to it, and then it's obviously resituated depending on how many other people are selling hot pink balaclavas and for how much they are selling. So it's a self-regulated economy that is housed specifically in this game. Now the issue is everyone would have to have a way to get these items instead of just purchasing them, because then we're basically just talking about loot boxes with extra steps. However, when they rolled this whole idea out in courts through Ghost Recon, it flopped. There's been, I think, like a grand total of like, mm, I think it was like $800 in sales,
Yeah.
uh, and it's out of like a lot of sales. Everyone who has Steam cards right now in your Steam inventory, you can see that the market value for a lot of those is around 10 to 12 cents.
Can I set you on a quick set a quick tangent real quick?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you mentioned that Quartz is has really flopped, and it's like $800 in sales.
Mhm.
The game on the screen, if people don't recognize it, is another massive flop from Ubisoft, which is Hyperscape, which they are shutting
Mm.
down now after
Mhm.
18 months after its release.
Right.
So I just wanted to quick draw attention to the fact if you guys didn't recognize the game, it's because it flopped.
Right. Yeah. Like I could see Cliff Bleszinski, and I'm really, really surprised that we haven't seen Cliffy B actually talk about this to go into his next flop AAA budget title and trying to force us. And I think honestly, like obviously, everyone is hearing a lot about NFTs. A lot of companies are testing the waters with NFTs. The biggest thing is I don't want something that is integrating it in which I now have to be a part of your market. Because regardless of whether or not I'm participating in buying and selling these items, I'm still gaining items that will then also have blockchain code attached to them. And so when you hold on to something and you don't put it into the market, what you're doing is you're actually creating a sort of false inflation. And it's because I don't want to participate. There are X amount of items that are out there in, I'm just going to say the ocean, whatever, as far as like, the marketplace goes. But if I am reserving all of those items that I'm not buying or selling, the number of items that have blockchain code of that specific item, say hot pink balaclavas, will increase, but they're not being sold. So we're creating a sort of reserve because we're not participating. This is essentially going to collapse in on itself. And obviously it has in the past with different projects that Ubisoft has put out. But that's kind of my 2 cents along with the news. If you're curious about more of what Poirot has said, uh, I mean, literally, you just have to Google Ubisoft talks NFTs. Um, I think that anyone who has choice words is likely going to be more towards the no, I think I understand. I'm just telling you I don't want it. Please stop telling me I'm stupid. But what do you guys think?
One of the things that I feel isn't being talked about that probably need, especially when it comes to gaming and why Ubisoft is probably trying to get into this space first, is that in terms of how NFTs work, whoever mints, quote unquote, mints an NFT gains a
Mhm.
royalty off of each transaction
Oh
that
yeah.
that NFT goes through. So whenever you get companies like Ubisoft going out there, people keep talking about, oh, it's just a money grab for Ubisoft. It's 100% true, because every time, because I mean, they're creating these within their own space. So every time one of those NFTs ends up changing hands, Ubisoft is going to get a percentage of that as a royalty for creating and minting that NFT. So this is from an Ubisoft standpoint, this is literally it's literally just a way for them to make money off of peer-to-peer transactions. Like, so if I wanted
Yeah.
to sell you something, they still get a percentage of it. And Ubisoft, obviously, I can't even remember the last time anybody has ever spoken fondly of them over
Mhm.
anything that they've done. Like the last time I even was on the podcast and we talked about them, it was a dumpster fire. Like the whole thing was awful, because it was over the whole human resources thing, because they're just
Yeah.
an awful company. And so that's another thing. Like when people are going out there saying that the only reason these companies are trying to integrate this into their game is so they can make extra money off of it, it's probably holds more weight than just about any other argument out there, because they make a royalty off of every single transaction that takes place.
Primary and tertiary profits. Primary profits
Mhm.
from selling the game and any DLC it has.
Mhm.
Tertiary profits from every sale of anything with uh, the blockchain code attached to it.
Yeah, yeah, because like if they sell it, you buy it directly from them, they make the full profit off that, and then you turn around and sell it to somebody else for X amount of dollars. And I think the average royalty on NFTs is like 10% right now, and I don't know,
Right.
they'd probably set theirs at like 40, because it's fucking Ubisoft. But
Yeah, I made
well,
that.
they're not EA though, I guess. So there's
I made that comment on the Twitter page, the next something Twitter page. I believe it was PC Gamer. When they had an article about it, about him saying that gamers just don't get it. I made like I commented on it saying like what we don't get is that you've had claims of you've had sexual harassment issues for the past 3 years while pretending it's not real. And but you want to put in this cash grab in your, that's what we don't get. Like it's mind-boggling that like they're like, "Ooh, you just don't understand NFTs."
It's a last ditch effort to make money before they end up going belly up. Because Ubisoft, I mean, they again, when was the last time anything was even positively spoken about them? Eventually, it's all going to come to a head, and it's going to be like, no, this just ain't working. Bankruptcy, and then they're going to get acquired.
Microsoft on the side just
Microsoft will buy them out.
Yes,
They're going to wait for that stock to drop.
I see him as being so headstrong that they would just keep pushing until and like just put it out with it in there, and it would take millions of people not buying the product. Like if they put NFTs in Assassin's Creed, right? Because they already started putting in a ton of weapons in Assassin's Creed and dyes for your armor, your cloak, whatever. You could then attach blockchain code to different weapons, to different, armor dyes and stuff like that, that can then be traded through their U store, right? So I could see them doing that, and it's like you don't have to then be a part of that, because you would have to go to a secondary platform that you can get to through your game if you're on a console through the U store and do that. Like, I guess I really wouldn't care about that. It would still be there, but I could at least pretend it doesn't exist. But if it's something like Ghost Recon or any other more like multiplayer game, I could see it being a larger issue for sure. And I could see them just being like, we hear you, and we just want to let you know that we don't give a shit, and we're going to do it anyway.
Which has been their typical response anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they're going to start running low on money, and they're going to be like, Eve, hate to do this to you, buddy. We need some extra money. I need you out on the street corner ASAP, dude.
Okay. So, in the interest of time, anything else on this particular topic?
Mm-mm.
No.
All right. How do you guys feel about deals?
I like deals.
I like some deals. Isn't there like a whole sale with the moon and things going on right now?
Deals of the month.
Oh, that's lunar. Yeah, Lunar
Yes.
New Year. Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So you're right. There are some Lunar New Year sales. I believe Steam has one right now. I also think that Epic Game Store has one going on right now. I think Humble has one.
I believe you're right. I got an email about that like yesterday, I think.
Does GOG? I wonder if I haven't checked GOG.
I haven't watched GOG in so long. Oh.
Yeah, GOG. Oh wait, never mind. That's from 2020. I don't know. It doesn't say.
I'm not seeing anything from on GOG's front page for a Lunar New Year sale.
It's a rough go.
Yeah, the lunar sale for Humble is going on for the next 15 hours and 48 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Steam is going until February 3rd at 10 a.m. at Pacific.
So if you watch this tomorrow, sorry, you missed out on the Humble Bundle thing.
Yeah.
Bye. Love you. Kisses.
But so some games that are coming to Twitch. If you have Prime, is it gaming with Prime Gaming? You can pick up Stellaris, Ashwalkers, as far as the Eye, Double Kick Heroes, and Golazo, which is like a soccer game. Epic Games, you can pick up Daemon X Machina. That's available until the 3rd. And Ukulele in the Impossible Lair starts. You can pick that up on the 3rd and grab that until the 10th. Is it just me, or is Ukulele like always free?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like Brawlhalla to Super Smash Brother is Ukulele to Banjo-Kazooie.
That's because it was the old Banjo-Kazooie fellas. They did the Kickstarter that made that.
But like, I always feel like it's always free. Like, I feel like we don't go more than like 2 months without saying the name Ukulele on this fucking podcast, especially when it comes to deals of the month. I have never reviewed it. I am pretty sure I have claimed it like 6 times on at least 3 different platforms. And I just never play it. It doesn't. I don't. They must just be having to give it away. Anyways, Fanatical. Let's see. I forgot to write this down, but I'm sure there are some bundles here. Oh, they do have a lunar sale going on right now on Fanatical. If you're interested in checking out their stuff, there's the Pillars of the Earth is on sale, Shadow Tactics, Torchlight, Radio Commander, and some others. Oh, Wasteland 3 is also on sale on Fanatical. And I'm not. Let's see, game bundles. There's the Build Your Own Elite VR bundle and the Platinum Collection, which ends in 37 hours. A Build Your Own Tiger bundle and Build Your Own Fantasy bundle. That's all on Fanatical if you're interested. Mendacii, what do we got going on for Sony?
Sony's got a lot of really good stuff. Aside from their total sham of their free stuff, if you have a PS5, you can get Planet Coaster, which looks pretty cool. If you just have a PS4, UFC 4, which I'm sure plays like trash, and then DLC for Borderlands 2 that came out like 4 years ago, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, which, by the way, you still need Borderlands 2 or the Handsome Collection to play. So total cop out there. To go into actual games that are fun, that are good, you can grab Vanquish, which is a fantastic game from Sega of America for $10 if you like character action games. If you're more into like solving crimes and doing street fights, Judgment is on sale for $17.99. And then we've got the Yakuza Origins digital bundle for $20, as well as the Yakuza Remastered collection, which goes into 3, 4, and 5. So you can play all of Yakuza 1 through 5 for a total of $40. Otherwise, I would highly recommend checking out Catherine Full Body for $17.49 or Soul Calibur 6 for $13.49.
Dope. Was there anything Nintendo wise?
Yes, there's a couple things. So they are lacking, which is,
Typical.
not a surprise. Yes, but if you like playing RPGs with your friends, there is a multiplayer game, Children of Morta, which is a pretty cool looking kind of isometric top-down view RPG. That's 857 right now. Otherwise, if you want to go old school and dirty, Planescape Torment and Icewind Dale as a grouping together for only $10 on the Switch. But if you want something a little bit more new, but still has that cool RPG vibe, Moonlighter is super fun and on sale for $6.24. If you like more wholesome games, Unpacking is on sale, $15.99, or more old school stuff with their Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection Pack, that's $10 off, and Cyber Shadow, which is a cool like ninja old school Ninja Gaiden like game for $13.99.
Children of Morta is so good.
I was just
Yeah.
about to say, did anyone else hear Rev absolutely cream when
Yeah,
Mendacii said,
Dude,
Children of Morta?
honestly.
So Indy Falco,
Yeah.
friend of the podcast,
Mhm.
that's how me and him met, was because I had played that game and loved it so much. I was going and looking for streamers who were also playing, and he was playing it.
Yeah, go
It's so
check
good.
that the fuck out. There's 7 characters that you can play, 2-player. They dropped another character, I think, free. This game came out in 2019, and it just looks gorgeous. This is made by people that definitely know what the hell they're doing as far as a setting like this goes.
The last few things that they dropped, I know for sure have been free. Like they dropped an entire new game mode that is like a more traditional roguelike experience.
Mm.
A whole new game mode for that, and they just dropped it and was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is a thing now. Enjoy." It's like, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, it's super sick. So if you have a Switch, grab that. Otherwise, if you don't have a Switch, is it available on Steam? Is that where you played it?
Yeah, it's on Steam.
Yeah, go take a look ski.
I want to say it's on Xbox Game Pass too, actually.
Ooh.
I believe it is. I'll have to double check.
Oh, and it's also it's $8.79 on Steam right now. It's 60% off as part of the lunar sale. So Children of Morta, I
Boy,
cannot recommend it enough. It's so good.
get that shit.
Green, what's coming up with Microsoft?
Microsoft has some games coming up for February. February 3rd, we got 3 games: Contrast for cloud and console, Dreamscaper for cloud, console, and PC, as well as Telling Lies for cloud, console, and PC. February 10th, you have Besiege for cloud, console, PC, Crossfire X for console, Edge of Eternity for cloud, console, and PC, and Skull, the Hero Slayer for
It's a good one.
cloud, console, and PC.
Skull's super good too.
I'm sorry. And The Last Kid on Earth and the Staff of Doom, also cloud, console, and PC. February 14th, we get Ark Ultimate Survivor Edition, and Infernax. Infernax, I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's for cloud, console, and PC for both those. Available right now on February 1st is Grounded Into the Wood update, and then Microsoft Flight Simulator World Update 7.
Excellent. Any other sales or deals that we wanted to mention?
Nah, I don't think so, man.
All right. Do you guys want to wrap up the show then?
Sounds
Sure,
good to me.
buddy.
Wrap you up.
Yeah. Rev, I realized that at the top of the show, I didn't have you introduce yourself. For the kind folks out there who haven't met you yet, who are you, what do you do, and where can people find you?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? Hi. I'm Rev. I do like indie focused variety stuff. Used to be a co-host on the podcast before I started my new job that kind of has become a time suck. And yeah, I stream just like a whole bunch of indie stuff and a little bit more random stuff as well. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the RevSven, and you can find me literally just about anywhere else at just RevSven. On Twitch mostly.
Excellent. Green, what's coming up on your channel?
The same old, Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov. I might squeeze in some God of War. I haven't played it yet. I'm working on it. I've been so ever so busy sleeping, and being mentally exhausted. But yeah, you can catch me on twitch.tv/Mr. Green Elite. You can also catch me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all at Mr. Green Elite, except for Instagram, which is TTV Mr. Green Elite.
Mendacii.
Heyo. So something that I've found is that Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is awful to stream. It's super fun, but it's like 90% me talking at you paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and no one really needs that. I'm already on 2 different podcasts, so I feel like I talk enough, at least to that length. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Metroid Dread back up. I'm going to start streaming that, probably hit that up likely tomorrow, and then over the weekend, likely play some more games with Brent, my podcast from Podcast for Two People, and that'll have an episode probably drop either this week or early next week. So that's pretty cool, and that's at twitch.tv/Mendacii. And if you want to see some insight into some cool indie games, indie developers, or just more mindless drivel that comes from my mouth, you can check out my Twitter, which I have updated to get rid of the underscore and all the other bullshit that I can never remember. So now it's just Twitter at only Mendacii. Nice, simple, pretty with a bow.
It would have been nice if you had told me that you made that change.
I did it like right before the show started.
Yeah, that would have been.
Oh, man.
So, I'm
You're
gonna
a
leave
monster!
it. you bastard. Coming up on my
I'm wild, man.
coming up on my channel, I'm not quite sure what all is gonna be happening this week. Friday, I feel like I'm gonna be doing some Hunt Showdown. I've kind of feel like maybe Saturday we go into some Yu-Gi-Oh because people really appreciate Yu-Gi-Oh. And then Sunday, This is gonna sound weird, but I did take a sponsorship through Stream Elements for Raid Shadow
No.
Legends.
Ah, yes. Raid Shadow Legends.
So
Sorry, I loved it.
we'll probably do a sponsored Raid Shadow Legends stream on Sunday. Yeah. So that's coming out with
Nice.
me. You guys can follow me on Twitter at DanieK, DaniECAE, if you want to keep up with me there. But guys, that's going to wrap up the show this week. Thanks for watching and listening. Your time with us is always appreciated. Of course, we're not just interested in your time or attention. We do want to hear from you as well. So let us know what you think about any of the topics that we talked about down below in the YouTube comments, or let us know on Twitter at NextToNothingPC. If you guys want to be a part of the show, you guys can also answer the question of the week, which is, how did you feel about the Halo trailer? I have a feeling there's going to be some strong opinions on it, so let us know. If you guys missed any part of the show, you can, or you guys want to take us on the go, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you want to catch us live, you can catch us live every Tuesday on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Time. If you guys like what we do, you can drop a like or subscribe and ring that bell. That really does help us out a ton. But if you really want to take your support to the next level, and I say this every week and I mean it every single time, the best way to help support the show is by telling your friends. That really does help us out a lot. Guys, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting the good fights, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. Goodbye!
I love you.
Bye.
Stay hydrated.